Good evening, everyone, to the November 14th Planning Board meeting. I'd like to start with the pledge, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic. Start with the customary announcements. Emergency exits are to your left and right. Restrooms are out the door and to your left. Please be sure to sign the attendance sheet if you haven't already. It's on the table in the back. There are business cards with contact information for the planning department as well there. Please turn off or silence your cell phones so it doesn't interrupt or distract anyone presenting before the board. And if you want to have conversations, please take them outside and close the doors behind you so that it doesn't distract as well the presenters. So, we have a number of items on the agenda that have been removed. Item 2, mobile graphics building's been removed until at least December 12th. The Elias Soil Stabilization Project application has been removed until the same meeting. And also Glazer in-ground pool was removed until December 12th. So if you're here for any of those, you don't need to be. Glad to have you stay, though. We do have some meeting minutes for approval, September 26th. Joe, you were absent. Does anyone else have any comments?
No.
Lisa? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of those meeting minutes.
Move.
Ernie moves.
Second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0, one abstention. Correspondence received. Marcia Senges on 72 Rawson Road, PDD. I believe that's in our packet, right?
No.
Or is it?
She has just sent it in.
Oh,
Wanted
okay.
to
So
have it.
we'll get it for future meeting. Boards, committee updates, town board, planning board. Kim?
I don't have anything to add from what you had indicated for carryovers
Oh,
from
just those
tonight's
three.
agenda. It's what it is. No new applications.
It's the holidays.
Yay.
We may or may not have a meeting next time, which is December 12th. Okay, and that's a Tuesday. So, thank you, Kim. Counting the days, I can see. So, as I said, there's several items on the agenda that were removed, but the first has not. Extension of time. It's not a public hearing for 1086 Strong Road subdivision. The applicant received approval on June 13th, 2023 to subdivide 32.42 acre parcel into 11 single-family lots, including an existing house and garage. Pursuant to Town Code Section 21131F1, site plan approval was granted with conditions. It shall expire 180 days from the date of the resolution granting conditional approval, unless all conditions therein are satisfied. The applicant is requesting their first 90-day extension of this letter, or this approval. So, I don't believe there's anything.
Joe, I drove by the site a couple days ago, and one of Babette Huber's concerns with the project was maintenance of the existing structure.
Okay,
And to date, there's no evidence of anything happening in a 180-day extension. I don't know if it's going to have an impact on the existing dwelling, if that's a concern or relevant to us approving this.
okay. Good comment. If anyone else, and I don't know, Kim, do we
Anybody
get any
living there?
updates from the developer or the
I know
applicant?
they pulled a building permit for renovation of that
Oh, good.
structure. I don't believe that they have done anything, to your point, but they did pull a building
Well,
permit.
it indicates intent, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Kim. Ernie, any questions?
No, I was just asking if somebody lived there
No,
right now.
no one lives there, right? Okay, so it's vacant. All right, well, hearing no other questions, this is not a public hearing, so I have a draft resolution here for consideration of this application. Whereas this regards 1086 Strong Road subdivision extension of time. Whereas in a letter dated November 3rd, 2023, Doug Eldred of Doug Eldred Site Engineering, PLLC, requested a 90-day extension of time for application titled 1086 Strong Road Final Subdivision. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Victor Planning Board grants the first 90-day extension of time for 1086 Strong Road Final Subdivision. I'll hear a motion to,
I'll move.
Second.
Joe moves, Ernie seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried 5-0. Okay. Item 2 is off, item 3 is off. Item 4, Acre Riding Ring. This is a public hearing. It's 1578 State Route 444. Owner is Michelle Acre, or, am I saying that right, Acre? Okay, thank you. Applicant's requesting approval to construct a 160-foot by 70-foot riding area. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just name and address for the record.
It is 1578 State Route Road 444.
And your name?
My name is Lance Brokaw. I'm a contractor representing for the homeowner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to give everyone a summary of your request.
Basically, as you can see on the map or the photo here, there is going to be a 160-foot by 70-foot riding rink in this area, which is basically half of it now is a pasture. The other half that is brush and trees, most of it gets brush hogged once a year. There is 2 box elders that will need to be removed in order to do this process. Otherwise, there isn't any other trees or any other effect in it. As far as any drainage, my intentions is to keep would be the east side of the property level to the existing grade as it is now. The west side would have to be raised in order to make the rink or the arena level and safe for the horses.
So there's a rise from the barn up to the arena on the east side of the arena?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Approximately, depending on where it is, anywhere from 6 inches to almost 2 feet.
Okay.
The highest elevation would be on the northeast corner.
Okay.
So if there appear to be any water issues and stuff, what I would do is a corrugated pipe and just bring it down through the arena. I don't think it's going to be an issue because, like I said, as far as the arena itself or the riding rink itself, this is based off of the manufacturer's suggestion, which we were going to follow, which should allow any water to run through the base of it to eliminate any of that. But like I said, if for some reason there is an issue, then we can certainly add a drain tile on the east side of the rink if we needed to.
So it says no swell, I assume that's swale? Like a
Yeah.
drainage swale? Is
Yeah.
that, you're not gonna put one
It
there?
basically depends on what you have for water issues
Okay.
and whether or not you need it or don't need it. I don't think we're gonna need it, and like I said, if we do, I probably wouldn't do a swale anyhow, I probably would do a drain tile. And that way
Okay.
there we're just going to get it out even faster, have less things for the horses to trip over.
okay. Anything else before I open
I
up for
don't
questions?
believe so. I
Okay.
think that was, if you've got any questions for me or the homeowner,
I suspect there will be.
okay,
Start with Joe.
thank you.
He's looking at me, so I think he's got something.
Can you describe the fence? I'm reading your process here about building, but I'm not seeing a description of the posts and the
It's just going to be
rail.
a post and rail. I do believe a three rail post and rail fence is what it's going to be. At this point, we haven't done a permit for it because at this point, I don't know when the start time is going to be because it's all going to be based on weather. So I didn't want to throw another permit on the books to basically not know where we're gonna do it. So
Sort of a
eventually
typical
we'll have to
white
come back or.
three-rail that we see around a horse farm, kind of a,
Same thing, yes.
Right.
Yeah, round post, and then, like I said, 3 rails.
terrific, thank you.
All right, no problem.
Al, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Scott?
I guess I was curious to know where the swale or the perf pipe might discharge to.
It would be to the west, which all the water runs that way anyhow.
That's the natural lay
Yes,
of the land.
yes. Down at the end of basically where the yellow box is, the rink is 160 by 170. There is a swale that runs.
Pointer.
Okay, sorry. There is a swale that runs there now that drains the neighbor's property to the south, all that direction.
Okay, and this is just an,
Make sure you're talking into your mic.
this is just a riding rink that's at grade, approximately, there's no structure associated?
No, there is no structure other than a fence.
It's open.
Yes.
Sorry. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I got my question answered, though.
All right. Ernie?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, I have a question. I noticed that you have it perpendicular to the road, or the driveway. I assume that's a driveway to the house behind,
Yes.
okay? Any reason that you didn't just keep it parallel with the driveway, so you didn't have to take any trees
Yes,
down?
elevation grade. I had Adam come out. We discussed having it that way, but because of the elevation change, it was almost a 5-foot elevation change difference, which means we would have needed more dirt, more disturbing of the soil, therefore more issues.
Sure, okay.
So hence we turned it to minimize that.
The other rectangle looks like it was a ring, or still is? Is that going
Yeah,
away?
basically up at the, it would be the south east corner. There is a basically sand rink there now. It's quite old. It needs to be, fixed or changed. So that's why she's would like to do something new.
Okay,
and
so
also
it's
make
just gonna
it a
be
little bigger.
whatever fencing or is around there, that's
Yeah.
just gonna be regraded and cleaned up?
It'll be changed. The one that's visible inside of the red box will be changed and moved to the east, that
Okay.
fence line.
Right.
And then the only new fencing would be anything beyond where you see the heavier brushes to the north.
Okay,
You would basically have new fencing there. Otherwise, all the other fencing is going to stay where it is. It may or will be changed to a wooden post and rail.
this is a public hearing. You may have some neighbors in the audience that would have questions. Are there? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
We have one of your neighbors here.
Sorry?
We have one of his neighbors here. Somebody in this room lives nearby.
Right, and I offered, no one's approaching, so I'm assuming that there's no question.
All right.
I heard a motion from Al.
I'll second it.
Not seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Wes, any other thoughts you might have?
Nope.
Okay, it looks like it's gonna drain well with this material that they used in the section that he provided.
Yeah, LaBelle doesn't have any concerns.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Excuse me for a moment, will there be another meeting about this year?
No, not unless, and that's why I opened up the,
I want to talk then,
well, hang on.
Oh.
I just closed the public hearing. I was kind of hoping that anyone who had comments would have said something before I closed the public hearing. Any issues with allowing a comment? All right. If you'd step up, identify yourself and address, and then be glad to hear any questions or comments you have.
I'm Steve McCuyton.
Hang on.
Come
You gotta just do it in the,
Get to the mic first.
you gotta be in the microphone because Lisa won't get
I'm
you.
Steve McCuyton. I live at 1588 State Route 444.
Okay. And how's that, where's that in relation to this property?
See the red thing, see that driveway that goes on this side? I go way in the back.
So
I
you're,
got I got a 2-inch water line where that red line is in there, where the barn wants to be put. Can I go up there?
there's a red,
There's a pointer on
laser
there.
pointer
There you
for
go.
you if you like to use it.
Just to
You
clarify, it's not a barn.
There's a button.
It's not enclosed.
It's not going to be enclosed, this thing?
No,
So
it's
you're
just a
right.
ring.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a rink then?
Riding ring, it's just a
All right,
fence.
it's not going to be enclosed then?
Correct, there's no building that's going to be.
Okay, all right,
It's fencing.
okay.
Is that what's your biggest concern?
What about the water?
Yeah. So
Okay,
do you know, I mean, if they put fencing, you're saying that there's a water line somewhere, is that, I assume that the water line is
right, yeah,
parallel?
right on the other side of that driveway right there. It's between that red line and, probably where that red line is, my probably line is probably 3 feet from there.
So as
4
long
feet.
as long as the ring is built on the owner's property,
Right.
he's not going to be interfering with your.
That's fine, I thought it was going to be a built-in building or
Yeah,
something like that.
no.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
no problem, you're very welcome. Okay, I'll assume for the moment that the public hearing is going to
It's okay.
remain closed. And hearing no other comments, questions from the board, we do have a draft resolution for this, which I'll be glad to read. So resolution, Acre Riding Rings, 1578 State Route 444, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 6 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on November 14th, 2023, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project, Acre Riding Ring, will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Lance Brokaw site plan entitled Acre Riding Ring, received by the Planning Board October 6, 2023, Planning Board Application 37 SP 2023 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Item 1 is standard. Item ongoing conditions. Item 1 is also standard. And item 2, that a building permit be obtained for the riding arena fence. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Do I hear a motion for approval of this resolution? Ernie moves.
Second.
Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed 5-0. Next application, Scott has indicated, you're welcome, that he's concerned about a conflict of interest, having worked previously on another application with for number 6. So I believe you're free to sit in, and you don't have to leave the room. But
That's okay. The way I learned it is, at least the way I learned it was to exit. I mean, I can stay out in the hallway if you want.
no, it's, well, we may.
If it were not the last application, I'd probably stick around, but
Yeah.
if you'd like me to stay, I'll stay.
Only to have any, if there's any discussion at the end after we.
Okay, I'll wait out in the hallway.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
All right, good, thanks. Okay, so this is item number 6, because item number 5 was also removed. Lightcom's expansion. It's a public hearing, 7321 State Route 251. The owner is 7321 Victor Mendon LLC, tax map 1500190111. Zone light industrial, the applicant's requesting approval to construct a 20,000 square foot building with associated utilities, drainage, and 71 new parking spaces on a 9.7 acre parcel. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Colaratolo. Thank you for taking your time out tonight, because I'd like to, create a sense of, sense of urgency and explain to you why we have a sense of urgency and passion about making this project happen in the town of Victor. I'm the Vice President of Operations and Engineering at Lightcoms. And we're at 7321 Victor Mendon Road. It's our headquarters. How do we go to the next slide? There we go. So I wanted to take some time and tell you about who we are, what we do. So we're Lightcoms. We create tactical satellite communication systems for the United States military. We were founded in 2018. We're a startup New York company, originally in Henrietta. So we were associated with Monroe Community College. We grew pretty quick out of that building. We're a very high growth company, and since then we've moved into Victor. We've always loved this area. We live close by. We have, most of our vendors are in this area. So we purchased the property on 7321 with the hopes that we could expand that as we grew. Since then, we've hired a number of young individuals, a number of people right out of college. So we have, co-ops from RIT. We have individuals from U of R, UB, Clarkson, all that work at Lightcoms, and we, are trying to grow and keep young people in this area and keep, businesses growing and coming here. Really, our staff the majority of them are under 30 years old. So instead of going to North Carolina or going to California, they're staying here in Rochester despite the cold weather and things that people always complain about. Our company has been successful in the last couple of years for, really because of our core values. So we believe in customer delight, number one. So our products that we deliver to our customers are going to austere conditions. They're going to young EO, EO1s, EO2s in the military, and they really are passionate about having a great product, and that's what we deliver to them. So in order to do that, we have to hire the best people. So we're keeping engineers here, we're keeping operations people here, we're paying top dollar, way above average for their salaries to make New York State, Ontario County the place to be. But I'd say the number one thing that we do that separates us from the Airbuses, the Harrises, the Ultra Electronics, Thales, is that we're very, very fast. So in defense, it's typical to be slow. We're very fast. We deliver in 90 days, not 9 months. We always say that we measure time on our watch and not on our calendars. So that's really our core principle and our core reason that we've been successful. In 2022, we moved to Victor. In 2023, we actually won a large Army contract that, superseded our expansion plan in Victor. So we ended up moving part of the company and a large majority of the company to 20,000 square feet in Parrington Square Mall. So we worked a deal with the landlord there. So we're operating in 2 locations at the moment, but the goal is to bring it back under one roof. So I'm going to tell you a little about what we make as well. If you go to the next slide, please. So tactical satellite communications to us, we look at it every day, but these are some of our products for those of us that have not seen them before. So we make parabolic dishes, which is up in the left-hand corner. The top left is our 1.3 meter system. The big one in the center is our 2.2 meter system, which is what the Army uses. The little box in the left-hand side allows us to operate over government and military satellites. And then in the bottom right-hand corner is a brand new piece of technology we've been developing. It's a multi-constellation, multi-orbit satellite terminal, and it's the only one in the world like it. So we have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, systems engineers that we all employ to design these things, and then we have operations people, assembly workers, we have material handlers, we have supply chain managers that make the product come together. And then we also have, another part of our secret sauce is our software. So on the top right-hand side, we have our graphical user interface that we have, 4 very young software engineers, actually gamers, that go through, and the soldiers that use this equipment, want to use a cell phone, right? So we take a very complicated piece of equipment and we make it very, very simplified for our end users. Next slide, please. So I just want to talk a little bit about who we serve. We have some very high-profile customers. We have some very low-profile customers. But our high-profile customers are U.S. Space Force, United States Marine Corps. We're actually, right now, we're in a production run providing satellite communication systems to the White House Communications Agency. So every time the president travels, the White House Communications Agency goes out in front of him, sets up secure communications so that he always has a direct link back into his home base. So, and then our smaller groups that we work with, JCSC out of Tampa, U.S. Special Operations Command, who's very public, the Army Rangers, we do a ton of work for. So we're in 5 years, we've touched a tremendous part of the U.S. military. So actually just some of the pictures, top left-hand corner is actually U.S. Army Ranger in Afghanistan. That was a system that we built from when we were in Henrietta. The right-hand side is a vehicle that JCSE runs. The bottom left is a solar-powered tactical comm system for the Army, and the right-hand side is a dual-pole multi-constellation satellite system that we developed for the Army. Next slide, please. So one of the reasons we, are in Victor is because there's a lot of technology in Victor as well. So we try to keep all of our vendors, all of our subcontractors very local. We're very, very passionate about this area. So on the right-hand side, Webster Precision Projects has electronics. They're all in Rochester. Webster does our sheet metal. Haslo does our wiring and cable harnesses. And the center section is all, Victor, Ontario County companies that we do a ton of business with. TCS Electronics does more complicated cable assemblies for us. TTI provides our electronics components. Sermotech is literally a stone's throw from us, and they do all of our circuit cards. And then Elite Machine is down in Manchester and do all of our metal machine work. On the right-hand side, we have an outreach across the country. And these are our partners that we're working with on a daily basis who are flying into Rochester, staying in local hotels, going to the local restaurants, buying things to bring back to their family and whatnot. But very, very high-profile companies that we've been working with out of, SpaceX is in Seattle, Washington, AVL Technologies is in North Carolina, Mission Microwaves in LA, and Ball Aerospace is in Colorado, and they're all, partners of ours. Slide, please. So over the past 5 years, we've had tremendous growth. We started as a very, very small company of 4 people in 2018, and now this year there's only a couple months left, and we're going to hit our target of $31 million in revenue just after 5 years. And next year, we're projecting a $90 million year, and we'll be up to about 49 employees. So we're going to continuously add jobs, continuously add capacity for Lightcoms. Next slide. So the reason I'm here and presenting and taking every time, and I appreciate you listening to me, is that we're at a critical decision point right now. And we got an order that we worked on for about 2.5 years on September 11th of this year from the United States Marine Corps. And that order is for a 5-year contract with a $500 million ceiling. So it is massive for any company, let alone a small company, on State Route 251. So we have a big job in front of us that we need to perform on. And the wild card that we weren't really anticipating is the order came through, the contract came through with a DX rating. And what that means is the government has said that the technology that we're providing to the Marine Corps is of the highest national defense urgency. So there's normal commercial, there's DO rating, right? So we would have a DO A7 rating, which is typically what we would see, and then there's DX. And DX essentially means that we move in front of any of the DO ratings, we move in front of any of the any of the DO rated orders in front of any of the commercial orders, and our orders come first. And if we don't perform, 40 Marines are going to show up at our door and ask why, right? So it's a kind of a big deal. The other typical things are B-2 bombers, ICBMs, transonic missiles, and then Lightcoms and Victor. So it's terrifying, but very, very important to our national security. So we've been working on this project to build an expansion on our plot of land on 251 since really it's been about a year now. But we're kind of at a decision point where we need to either break ground almost immediately to get our factory up and running by June, July of next year at the latest, or we need to move. So we're, I don't want to make it feel like we're strong arming, but we're getting a little strong arm from the government. But our desire and our plan from moving here in Victor is that we would keep our company here in Victor and continue to grow jobs and continue to enhance this area as much as possible. Do you guys have any questions for me on the business side? I mean, we have a BME here to answer all the hard questions.
I have a question. Are there going to be any explosives in this building?
Oh, no, sir. Nope, we do only communication systems, essentially like a satellite TV, except it goes both ways and is significantly more powerful.
And is the existing building going to stay?
Yes. Yep. So our headquarters, all of our engineering is built in that building. Our operations offices are in that building. So we may, our manufacturing facility in there is about 3,000 square feet. We may expand and add some more offices and move all of the manufacturing to the new location.
How many employees do you expect to have there at a peak?
Right now, over the next year, we're planning on, we're going to hit 49 by the end of 2024, and then probably add another 20 to 30 past then.
Is enough parking?
We should be okay with the new parking, yeah. We're adding 71.
Okay, so they all do all their work on site then?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Well, I have, Joe.
Okay. Al?
No, I think Ernie asked all the questions I had, but it's really nice to see a local business doing well and
Thank you.
supporting national defense and growing in the area, so.
Yeah, who knew?
We try to keep it quiet, right?
Yeah, right. Joe?
I'm all set.
Yeah. Okay. When I first saw the application, I was looking at it and thinking, it's right next to the rail corridor, which ultimately will be converted to a parallel, a coupled roadway system for traffic alleviation in the town. So I guess this might be a question for Wes. If the road gets built, does that become an issue for, setbacks and things like that for putting a building where they've suggested it?
No, because I think it would be an existing, if for some reason a lot line was considered to be different because if a road goes in there, then it would likely be an existing non-conforming sort of scenario. So what you have in front of you, or what you're evaluating now, we use the zoning dimensional criteria that stand today, and yeah, so that's it.
Okay. Have you had a chance to, I guess, consider all the details and things? I mean, they're asking for a quick turnaround in terms of approval and then get going on construction. So do you have any, or does Labella have any outstanding reservations, comments, things that need to be addressed?
Yeah, we did issue a letter yesterday, and I can go over that. One of the questions I might have for the chief operating officer, is that what you said? Okay, might be, for example, your I don't want to call it excessive growth, but your rate of growth. What's the likelihood that you outgrow the facility with a 20,000 square foot building in a couple of years?
It's possible for sure. We practice very lean manufacturing.
Yep.
Our operation, he's not here, so I can say this now. Our operations manager is a very, very smart young individual. So he's built all quick changeover lines. So in defense contracting, what ends up happening is we'll get a very, very large order. So right now, what we're doing for White House Communications, right? It's a 75-piece order for these systems, and it will take us about 3 to 4 months to build. So we'll set up a line, build that, and then tear it down and do whatever the next one is. So there are peaks and valleys. So the peaks are very, very high. The valleys are relatively low. So we can change over pretty quickly and be a very effective use of our space. And the other thing that, just to second that, the other thing that makes us super competitive is we keep our overheads and our G&As extremely low. So we want to be flexible in our assembly lines. The more space that we take up, the higher those rates go, and the less competitive we are when we're going up against those Airbuses and the L3s that have very, very high rate structure.
Mm-hmm. Have you talked at all with the economic development director here in the town?
Yes,
Okay.
they've helped us out tremendously.
Good. That's maybe all I have for questions with regard to
I
what
have
he
one
was
more,
asking
Joe.
about.
Yeah.
Are there going to be big-sized trucks going in and out?
We do have 53-foot semis coming in and out. Yes,
How often do they come?
daily.
Like 1 a day, 10 a day?
Maybe 2 a day.
Okay.
So we do a FedEx pickup and drop off, and that's our primary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very commercial on the other side of the road anyway.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the parking spaces and the loading docks. Are they, Susie, can you go back to the plan that you just had? Yeah. Yeah. So where do trucks come and pick up and drop off?
I knew I should have worn my glasses. At the moment, so this is our building here, and at the moment they come in through here, and then they do like a circle and back into our building. It was definitely designed for a 53-foot truck, but barely. But I think, BME has come up with a significantly better plan with the new facility that allows them to come in right through here. So I think they circle in here and back up there and then go back out the road.
So loading docks will be facing towards 251.
Yep,
And what's that, north is this way, approximately?
correct.
And then what's on this side of the building?
So on that building, we'll have grade level docks. So
Okay.
when we test the equipment, we have to bring it outside. And that's actually one of the reasons we love this parcel, is because the southern exposure is great. So we want to make sure that it's atmospherically quiet, right? So being near the airport is not a good situation for us.
Sure. I get the impression this is one large space, right? Is it just one big box building, or is it all cut up inside with different compartmentalized spaces?
It'll be mostly one large space. We are going to put some small offices in for the operations staff that'll live there. Most of the employees that'll be in that building will be, on assembly lines at test benches, et cetera.
Yeah. Okay. And is that accurate in terms of the number of,
No,
is this more the style of the building?
Yeah, so it's a pre-engineered building. So our plan and our urgency is to get a C of O as quickly as possible, so we can start building and delivering to the Marine Corps. And then what we'd like to do is dress up the building after that. I mean, we take pride in what we do as well. So when our customers come, they want to see a nice spot, right? They don't want to see a barn. So we are going to dress it up, add some facades and whatnot. But the plan is to do that, almost in parallel or directly after, getting in and start
Get your
delivering
folks
the product.
going and building, and then clean it up afterwards, I guess?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put it that way, but this is a public hearing. I just want to make sure there's ample opportunity for anybody that might have questions. I don't see anyone that might, but after our regular, go on up.
Easy.
Please. Dave Nankin from 1174 Chaucer Court. This is a low-lying area, half an acre under cover, impermeable. Is this drained directly into the storm sewer? Storm? Do you know?
I can handle that.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody
Yeah,
could.
go ahead.
Good evening, thank you, members of the board. Fred Shelley from BME. The drainage on the site, generally the site is high up toward the railroad bed, and it generally drains toward the apartment areas. There are two drainage swales that parallel the building, running basically north and south. So yeah, the site will capture runoff from the proposed development, quite a bit of the existing development as well, and it will be directed through internal private storm sewers and toward the stormwater management facility for treatment per DEC requirements.
You do
And then
have-
that, the storm sewer management facility will discharge to the stream to the southeast side of the site.
Oh, I see. So down at, right here. Is that where you're talking?
Yes, stormwater management facility, and then the discharges to the stream that runs this way,
Okay.
enters a culvert, and then carries on.
Well, that's an indirect discharge to the stream going through the stormwater management
Correct,
facility.
yes.
Okay. I'm trying to look at, there's something up here on another one of the drawings. What is,
Yeah, so there is another swale, so 251 is here, the site driveway comes in, and then there is another ditch that drains basically the Hadlock paint area, and then the railroad. So the railroad's fairly flat in that area, so there are just basically, these are relief, yep, there's relief swales that come down through the site. But yeah, it's picking up railroad runoff and then carrying it through the site.
okay, so the new building is going in this area, right?
New building will be about here, stormwater facility will be here, and then the parking areas will surround that.
Okay.
Could you talk a little bit about the wetlands there? Did you find wetlands on site?
Yes, we did. BME Associates conducted a wetland investigation. We prepared a report, delineation, and submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers. They've reviewed it. We have a couple of bounce backs with them, so we're coordinating the final boundary of that now. Once that's accepted, then we'll proceed. There is potential that wetland areas may grow when we go over these reviews from the Army Corps. If it turned out that any portions of the wetlands are within the development area, the most likely situation that I believe that the applicant would pursue would be to purchase a wetland credit to offset any disturbance to that wetland.
Okay. Dave, anything else? Okay, thanks for participating. Okay, so with that, I'm going to at least entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Any objection?
Nope, I'll second.
Al moves and Joe seconds, is that what it went?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Public hearing's closed. Any other discussion, questions for the applicant? No?
So Joe, just, and I think we capture it with the resolution, but back to the architectural design of the building. I mean, we did have the architectural consultant provided, I think, some good guidance.
Okay,
So just to ensure that the final design, even if it's part of a phase 2, is, comprehended and documented.
is that, Wes, do you know if that's
Conditions to be addressed.
prior chairman's signature?
Yeah, number 6.
So, okay, comments and letter dated November 13th from the architect consultant be addressed.
Just for discussion purposes here on architecture, and I'll maybe need some applicant feedback. If the planning board were interested, and we can talk about some of Labella's other comments as well, but if, for example, the planning board were interested in entertaining an approval tonight, could there be a possibility that the planning board, that the applicant come back for architectural review, at another meeting, if you need more time to look at revisions or that sort of thing?
I wouldn't have a problem with that if it allows if we're okay with the site and the layout and things like that, and you guys still want to consider what you're going to be proposing for architecture in the long run, so it might be phased, it might look like a box, and then it looks like a nice box when you're done, to simplify it. I think we'd like to have some input in the architectural piece of it, as long as, we can address that before you start putting sticks in the air, so to speak.
Yep, yeah, we're definitely amenable to that. I think the only comments on the sheet were about the windows, so we'll have some windows, but not a lot. It is going to be a cleared facility, so the security officers do frown on it a little bit, but we definitely will put some things on it to make it less of a box.
Yeah, I mean, typically we'll do some facade, either coloring or
Yep.
low, decorative block or something near the bottom to break up the vertical nature of it, things like that.
Yeah, our building right now that we're in, that's on the site currently, is essentially block and then metal, and then has a nice awning that comes out over the front door. So we'd probably try to match that.
Okay.
So
if we put that as a condition for future approval, in terms of, or for future review of the architectural pieces, we can stage this. And we've done this in the past, not frequently, but, I don't know, does anyone have an objection to that? You guys are all set?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Ernie? Okay. So it sounds like you're amenable to that. I think what we'll make sure we do is capture that in these conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature. And Wes, do you think there's a spot that's best for this, or just leave it as part of 6 on the conditions?
I guess I would make it maybe move it to an ongoing condition, because they might want to get plans signed before they
Oh,
get their
sure.
architecture approved.
Yeah, okay, so
So maybe just say that,
we can get the site plans and the building layout and parking and all that stuff approved, and then the architecture still needs to come back before the board.
yeah, so maybe we can indicate that the comments, that the applicant returned back to the planning board for architecture review at a later date.
Yeah, okay. So that, you would go to ongoing and,
Yeah.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Do you want to put a date on that at all?
I was going to ask him, how long do you think that it would be before you would finalize the final architecture of that building, once you're in the building?
We would start almost immediately after moving in. So as long as product's going out the door, we're
So
we're in good
let's
shape.
say
So
maybe
spring, summer?
Of 2024?
Yes.
Or let's say
Well, can we
4
talk
months
about
after
it?
the certificate of occupancy that they come back? Or
Well, does that-
I just want to give them I want to give our people a deadline so we can track it.
Yeah, I think that's where Wes.
Lisa's
Well,
point.
and maybe there's two deadlines. One, to come back with a design to be reviewed and approved,
Right.
and then a completion of the actual work, and that could be out another 12
Okay.
months, or
So,
in case maybe 24 months, but just to have some milestones that,
so if you build a shell, and then you're gonna have to come back and update it, if you will, for the approved architectural look, is that gonna be an issue for you guys? I mean,
No, no, like I said, we have, we have relatively high-level government officials coming to our building, so, they, just like anybody else, when they walk up to it, like, you want to see that they're, chose the right people, right? So if we have a square box that's, just metal size, it's not a good look.
Okay. All right, it sounds like what Wes is proposing will work for us. We gotta work out some language on the dates, I would expect.
Yeah,
And-
so,
go ahead.
do you want to say like September 2024, that they return to the planning board by September 31st, 2024, something like that?
Yes. That way Lisa can track it,
Yep.
and she can let them
Yeah.
know that they need to.
All right, so that's the next deadline. Once this is approved to move forward with site construction and building and everything else, then you're gonna take a breath and come back with, here's what we want to do to fix up the building for the long run.
Yep.
And that would be by the end of September? Or-
Yeah, or before, depending on what your schedule is.
Yeah.
But at least that gives us a deadline to get it back in front of you guys.
Yeah, if you guys want to come back earlier and say, hey, we got it figured out, and we want to do it while we're building the first part or something, that's fine too. But let's get
Okay.
that in
Perfect, yep.
codified.
We're definitely good with that.
Okay,
You always miss a schedule if you don't have a deadline, right?
yeah.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
Oh. Okay,
I've got
so,
some- I've got-
go ahead, Wes.
Another piece I need to talk to Fred Shelley about, with regard to one of our comments, the freeboard, right? The engineers, the design and construction standards generally requires 3 feet of freeboard, and that you were requesting 1.5 feet.
That's correct. The applicant would request that waiver.
And so the waiver, as it's currently drafted in the resolution, indicates 2 feet of freeboard rather than 1.5 feet. Can you do 2 feet?
That might have been an error on my part when I was putting it over.
So explain freeboard. Is this like above the 100-year flood?
Yeah, so I'll just read the comment here, right? So the engineer's report from the application indicates that there's 1.5 feet between the pond berm and the spillway. So there appears to be 1.53 feet between the 100-year ponding elevation and the top of the berm. If the design remains the same, the applicant will need to request a waiver from the town's design construction standards. So section 2.7.11, 2 minimum feet freeboard above design high water level to the top of the embankment shall be 3 feet. Maybe I should check that
That's
section of the
that's
design construction.
Item 2?
Yes, 2.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, so it sounds like there's 2 minimum feet, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's item 2, minimum freeboard.
I think I
Okay.
took that as 2 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That was my fault.
So it says 3 feet at the end of that sentence, which
Yeah.
is what the design code normally is, and they need a waiver for that.
Right, because they've got 1.5 feet,
Mhm.
but the DNC standards indicate they need 3.
What are the implications of not having 3 feet?
It's a great question. It's something I would defer to Mary on. Have you by chance talked to Mary about that comment? Okay, all right.
Well, if I may, the New York State DEC design guidelines or stormwater design manual, they recommend require 1 foot of freeboard from the
Sounds
top
familiar.
of the 100-year water level to the top of the berm, and that's under the extreme storm conditions during the 100-year storm. So Town of Victor does have a little bit, has larger requirement. We have 1.5 feet. DEC requires 1 foot. Victor requires 3 feet. So
Okay.
we meet and exceed the DEC's minimum requirements.
And I think that's important to understand if you're thinking about issuing a waiver, right? So this is a local thing, as it is in the design and construction standards. If you go to another municipality, they may rely strictly on the DEC minimum requirement of 1 foot. So asking for 1.5 feet in allowing that doesn't seem to be unreasonable, given that they are they're actually exceeding the DEC requirement for the 1.5 feet.
So the town, with its 3 feet, is looking for more resiliency, if you will, from flooding.
Yes.
And the DEC is looking for a minimum resiliency, so to speak, of 1 foot. To me, 1 foot seems an awfully small amount, but, when you're risking flooding at a 100-year flood, because you know that you can always get more than a 100-year flood from time to time. So,
There have been other instances where the planning board has provided a waiver to this. The one that I recall off the top of my head was one of the residential subdivisions on, God, what's the name of that road? Aldrich Road.
oh, Scout,
Scout Reserve, I think it was.
the
Yeah,
south side of,
the planning, or Scout Path. No, it was Scout Reserve. It was the one on the south side of the road.
one of those scouts.
So you have provided a waiver to this in the past as well. It's not unheard of.
Okay, that's where the driveway, the road went sort of across the wetland creek kind of, yeah, okay.
That's, all right, that's helpful. Let me see what other questions I have for
So
you.
to be clear, Wes, are you saying that the waiver should go with a 1.5 feet rather than the 2 foot that's in the resolution, the draft?
Like,
2 feet's not in the resolution, right?
well, it is. It's stated in the resolution, but I think it was just a clerical error in identifying 2 versus, it's not that someone had suggested 2
Okay.
feet. It was just,
I thought that was number 2, item number 2 or something, that was there, and it said, because it says, oh, okay,
Yeah, I saw that. At number 2.
okay. The 2 foot, oh, okay,
Yeah.
That's in the whereas.
all right. I was going to look up to see what the waiver was previously, but
well, it's only, it implies a risk to the owner that it's lower than 3 feet, but it's above the DEC's minimum by 1/2 foot, sounds like.
correct. Could you also talk a little bit about the septic systems? There's an existing septic system on site, and that's going to be, the use of that is going to discontinue as a result of this project because you're going to hook in the existing building into this new sanitary lateral, is that right?
That's correct, and the actual specific locations of those structures, so the septic tank distribution box and absorption lines, those will be coordinated, the location of those coordinated during the construction phase located. There is notations in the plans that address the abandonment of the septic tank, and it recommends or requires the removal of the tank per DEC standard, so it gets pumped and then removed from the site and disposed. The remaining portions of the septic system may be abandoned in place. The big thing with a septic tank is you want to pump it, get the wastewater out of that, and then eliminate the concern for a cave-in on, when the septic tank goes bad, because it's happened in the past. But, so we have specifically addressed the septic tank with the design plans. We can also include additional notation that discusses abandoning the lines in place or disposal at an approved facility if they are removed.
Okay.
What do you expect the lighting to be on the site? Is it just building mounted down, full cutoff, or there's parking lights, or how?
I believe we have two pole-mounted fixtures, minimum outcast. Basically, it's just to light the parking areas, provide safe passage on late nights like this, or, when it gets dark at 4 o'clock. So then there will be some building-mounted lights over the ingress egress points of the building.
And you do have a residential development right next to it, so.
Yep, yeah, so we do have, I believe, we did take a look at cutoffs for those, and just to ensure that we don't have spillage off of the site and into the residential areas.
Okay.
So, Keith, do you have any comments that you wanted to bring up at this point? No? Okay. So we do have a letter, the applicant has provided a response to that. We do still expect to see updated plans as a result of their response, so we can follow up and be sure that our comments are addressed.
All right, so the only thing we need to add to this is the architectural comment ongoing, whereas by, on or before September, whatever it was, 24th, 2024, the applicant shall come forward with the architectural details for approval to the planning board. Something to that effect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. I think we got this covered. We do have a draft resolution with, looks like at least one modification, which you guys are all set with, I'm prepared to read. So, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact for application 39 SP 2023, Lake Comm's building expansion at 7321 State Route 251. There are 15 whereases on here, and I believe everything is complete in terms of dates and letters and things like that. Whereas the planning board hereby waives section 2711 of the town's design and construction standards, it would require 3-foot freeboard requirement, but requires that the 1.5-foot freeboard be provided.
Yes.
Okay, so that's corrected. And be it further, and whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action November 14th, 2023, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project, like Comm's building expansion, will not have a significant impact on the environment, that a negative declaration be prepared. Be it further resolved that the application of 7321 Victor Mendon LLC, 7321 State Route 251, Victor, New York, site plan entitled Light Comms Building Expansion drawn by BME Associates dated October 2023, received by the Planning Board October 10th, 2023, Planning Board application 39 SP 2023 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Item 1 is standard. Item 2, that comments in a letter dated October 16th, 2023 from landscape consultant be addressed. Number 3, that comments in a letter dated October 23rd, 2023 from stormwater manager be addressed. Number 4, that the comments in the letter dated November 1st, 2023 from the town of Farmington Water and Sewer be addressed. Number 5, that the comments in a letter dated November 2nd, 2023 from the fire marshal be addressed. And I think we're going to take number 6 off and move it to ongoing. Is that correct, Wes?
Yes.
So number 7 becomes number 6, that the comments in a letter dated November 13th, 2023 from Labella Associates be addressed. Ongoing conditions. Number 1, site plan compliant Town of Victor's design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. Number 2, that exterior lighting be code compliant and approved by the code enforcement officer. Number 3, that pre-construction meeting be held before start of construction. Number 4, that the building permit be obtained before the start of construction. And number 5,
me read
I'll
it?
call it paraphrase. Oh, you got something? Great.
Sure.
Go for it.
Number 5, that the applicant return to the planning board by September 30th, 2024 for review of architecture and to address comments in a letter dated November 13th, 2023 from the architectural consultant.
Thanks. That sounds good. And be it further resolved, I'm sorry, what were you going to say? Is there something else?
Well, I've got a potential, another condition to be addressed, just thinking about the Army Corps of Engineers and the feedback, and whether or not that needs to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the plan. Do we want to add something in the resolution about
Well,
resolving Army Corps of Engineers
sign it,
comments?
and they start construction, the Army Corps comes back with something absurd, then what do we, does that delay construction? Or, I don't know, do you guys have a sense of when the Corps may be responding?
Speed of government.
Okay. When was the last response you received from,
You're going to have to come up front.
yeah, you need to.
I can't get it back from there, sorry.
I believe it was about 2 weeks ago is when we spoke to Andy, and then we have a call in, we have a call in to him from Senator Schumer's office to kind of hurry the process along.
We wouldn't issue a building permit. I think I talk loud enough, Joe. We would not issue a building permit until we received that.
Okay,
Okay?
All right.
So I don't know whether that makes.
So maybe we don't even need anything in the
yeah,
resolution?
that's,
Okay.
that sounds,
All right.
makes sense.
Or if you wanted to put something in the resolution, you could put it in before issuance of a building permit, the Army Corps approval is received. Keith now has to chime in.
Yeah,
As the person that's going to deal with that, yes, please, put that. It will be caught with the building permit, but see if you can put something in the resolution
so
to make that
under,
crystal clear.
prior
that-
to chairman's signature,
Well,
Prior to the issuance of a building
Building
permit,
permit,
we
okay.
need to have the all clear from Army
okay, so
Corps.
that's ongoing?
we're going to make that ongoing condition number 6.
Well, you got number 4, building permit be obtained. So and then is that, okay, just add another one, that's fine. So number 6,
We could add on to that and say,
that's what I was thinking.
the building permit be obtained before the start of construction, and that Army Corps of Engineer consultation be satisfactorily completed prior to issuance of the building permit. Get that on the mic?
I hope so, yes.
She'll be calling if she doesn't.
We're going to add that to number 4.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we have number 5 in there, correct, Wes? And then you went back and updated number 4
Yep.
for your comment. Is there anything else that, I'll let you finish updating that?
All right, I've got it written down here for Lisa. So yeah, that the building permit be obtained before the start of construction, and that U.S. Army Corps of Engineer consultation be satisfactorily completed prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else, Wes?
Nope, I'm all set, thanks.
Okay. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So, we have a slightly modified draft resolution before us. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Move.
Ernie moves.
Second.
Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0. Congratulations on your success, and, you know, we're glad to see you stay here, so. I just felt if we had to talk about anything for the holidays, at least he be involved. Scott, you out there? There he is. We didn't have any other actions. I just want to make sure that everyone understood that there's one more meeting this year. It's December 12th. Is everyone going to be here? I guess that's the question.
For which date?
12th of December.
Yep.
Okay?
I will and I
So,
will.
night.
Scott, will you be here December?
Yes.
Okay. Any,
December 12th, is it?
yeah, Tuesday. So, all right, well, with that, glad you stuck around, Scott.
Now what?
A motion to adjourn, I guess.
I'll move.
Al moves, Joe seconds, all in favor.
Aye.
Have a great
Got the vote.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Scott should vote no.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no.
I repeat again,